Welcome to Podsauce. I'm Dax Holt.
I am Alicia Renee, and we are joined here today by none other than, you guys we really need to have all these digital exclusives, because the ray of light and joy and energy that our next guest has been giving first of all, my H-Town sister, please welcome to Podsauce, Sheletta Brundidge, host of the Sheletta Show. Hey, boo, hey.
Hey, what's going on, you two?
Minnesota, is borrowing you, but we know where your heart really lies.
It's really in the Lone Star State. A Houston girl had to come up here to Minnesota because they needed some flavor.
Give it to them.
And I brought it.
I brought
the flavor.
A little salt bay on them.
Just a little salt, just a little bit on Minnesota.
I love it. Really, your energy is so contagious. I love it. And I want to talk to you about your podcast. Not only that, you have a lot of podcasts. You're a very busy lady. But tell me about the Sheletta Show, because that is why you were on here today. Tell people what they can get if they listen to your podcast.
Well, Sheletta Makes Me Laugh is actually a podcasting platform, guys. It's 8 unique shows all about people of color. It's hosted by African-American subject experts. And I started it a year ago during Black History Month. I wanted to have a voice. I wanted to talk about things that were important to people of color. And I'm a comedian by trade, so I wanted something fun and funny. And then I kept hearing from all these other people that said, Sheletta, we need a voice too. And so I said, well, come on, you can have a podcast. I'll produce it. And before you know it, I had 8 shows. I host 2 of them. One of them is called Laughing with Letta, which is my comedy podcast. And another one is called Taking Authority Over Autism, which is about parents and kids who have special needs, because 3 of my 4 children are on the spectrum, which is why I got like flashcards, a hula hoop, and a cloud.
Not all the tools.
All that, right? And so it's 8 shows, and they're all under the ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com podcasting platform. We're a podcasting family, and we are really family. We're friends. My sister hosts the show. 2 of my kids who have autism host the show. And we really are a one-stop shop for cultural relevance and creativity. So whether it's travel, maternal health, comedy, kids, diversity and inclusion, empowerment, we've got you covered at ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
8 shows, 4 kids, 1 marriage. How do you find your balance? And
a half a marriage. You might
oops.
He might be leaving right now while we're talking. That's why I keep looking like, what is it? It's a half a marriage.
A holiday marriage. We married on the holidays.
Right. Labor Day, He might not be here for Thanksgiving. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen for Thanksgiving?
How do you find your balance with all the many hats that you're wearing? That's a lot. You got a lot cooking in the kitchen.
You don't. You just try to keep everything from burning. You just keep your eyes on all the pots, all the eyes on the stove in the kitchen. Yeah. Got something bubbling, everything's smoking, it's smelling good, and you just keep the spoons turning. All of us are doing that. When COVID hit, we all had to find a way to find the balance, whether you're a parent or not and raising kids, whether you're going to college, if you're trying to work from home, if you're trying to be a parent and a paraprofessional, everybody is doing it. And we're finding a way, and we're finding the inner strength, a lot of us, that we didn't even know that we had. But the one thing that we do in my family is we laugh our way through it. We love to laugh, and our family motto is happiness is a choice. So no matter what happens, we choose to be happy, and we choose to laugh, and we found that that's helping us get through it.
That's a fact.
I was going to say, one thing that I really like about the Sheletta Show is you have these little bite-sized episodes, which I find very digestible, because it's easy to sign on to a podcast when you're like 10 minutes, 12 minutes, because sometimes I just don't have the time in the day to listen to a ton. And you're hitting these topics. How do you decide what topics you're going to cover? Because the recent one I listened to was with Alan Page and him not getting verified, and you were so heated over Alan not getting verified by Twitter. It was just a really funny thing to listen to. It was like, why is this guy, he's so huge in our community, he's done so much, but he can't get the damn verification. Why is this? How do you decide on your topics?
I'm timely. I've got my finger on the pulse of everything from pop culture to politics. I'm nosy. I grew up nosy. I've been nosy. I'm all in other people's business. So I like to know what's going on. I don't care if it's Biden or one of the Jenner baby mamas. I got to know what's going on, right? And so if it's something
Not
that's
one of them Jenner
timely,
baby
okay.
mamas. You thought I was
You
gonna
know,
let that slide?
I thought
Yeah, you did.
I just want to know what's going on. And if me and my friends are talking about it, if I hear people talking about it, if it's popping on social media, then I'm popping off and I'm giving my little 2 cents about it. And, we try to keep it concise, 10 minutes, maybe 12 at the most, because people don't have a lot of time. We're all stretched thin right now. And nobody wants to hear anybody talk for 40 minutes. That's why I'm almost in divorce
1000%.
court right now, talking too much. So 10, 12 minutes of really good content and, leave people wanting more, sending them on their way, but also, giving them something to think about. There's always a lesson behind the laughter. That's one of the things we like to say. We're going to make you laugh.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a lesson behind it.
It's so funny you say that. My grandmother, actually, that's one of her bits of sage advice that she gave me, God bless her soul. But she was like, everyone knows that they need to take medicine. But, if you put a little orange juice in it, people will be more inclined to take it. What I love about your podcast, Sheletta, is that it just runs the gamut, right? Like you had an episode where, it dealt with COVID-19. Is Michelle Obama coming to Minnesota, to, a black ran bank, being instituted within the Twin Cities to obviously, George Floyd. How do you find your piece going here, going there, wearing all of these different, topical, what's the word? Skin, because obviously when you're talking about something as challenging and heavy as George Floyd, with you being in Minnesota, you're not bringing that same posture as you would. Is Michelle ever getting here?
Authentic.
Mm-hmm.
It's life. Life is authentic. We're not always laughing. Sometimes we're crying.
Yeah.
Sometimes we got to talk to our kids about how to deal with the police. Sometimes, we just want to have fun and hang out with our girlfriends. Sometimes we want to talk about politics and be mad about legislation, but sometimes we just want to talk pop culture and find out, who's the new baby daddy for, one of the Jenner girls. And so,
She's slipping those Jenner girls in.
so if it's authentic, it's authentic. And, I just don't try to stay in one lane. If it's something that I'm talking about with my friends, if it's something people are talking about on social media, then I want to lend my voice to the conversation and maybe make people think about something that they haven't thought of before. Because, a lot of times we're just in our little networks.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's people who think like us, who look like us.
Yeah.
But, if somebody's subscribing to the podcast and they're listening to one of the shows, then guess what? They may be hearing something that they never thought about, and it may change their perspective on something. And so that's why I try to, just talk about everything, anything that moves me, anything that I'm authentically care about. Try to lend my voice to that and hopefully give someone a new perspective or a new way to engage a conversation about something.
Well, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I'll say because I know Dax wants to get this question in. Just to piggyback off, just to button what you were saying, I appreciate your podcast because you do it in our tone. There is no code switching. There is 100%.
Oh, girl. Yeah. Okay, so we can talk about that. Because you know what? I can't tell you how many program directors I have had that said, Sheletta, we need you to talk like you talk during the interview. And I said, no, I'm not code switching. Once I get on the air, once I do my podcast, this is who I am.
Yes.
And I have to be authentic. And, it's probably cost me a lot of money, probably cost me some sponsors because people think, well, when you have a Southern tone, you're not as smart as someone else. And I said, well, why don't you call Sam Walton or Dolly Parton and find out how that worked for them?
Thank you.
Because Dolly Parton doesn't code switch. Sam Walton didn't code switch. And so I'm not going to do it either. And for those who don't know, code switching is to have a different voice so that you can get the job that you really want. And then once you get in there, you can go back to your regular tone.
Come on now, keep it funny.
Dude, this is who I am. This is who you hired. I'm not going to change because, bosses change and, I changed my style for one boss. He may get fired. And then who am I at the end of the day? So I have to look at myself in the mirror and be my authentic self. And I think that's why people identify with me. That's why they also trust me, because you listening to podcasts, you got to trust these people. And people trust me because I'm real and I'm true, and they know that from week to week I'm going to be exactly who I am.
No, absolutely. And I just wanted to bring up the fact that there was a very viral story about you recently that I thought was so cool. So the CBS Morning Show actually covered you because you hadn't got the vaccination yet. You were kind of holding off, and I don't know if that was a plan that you were never going to get, but your son came to you and said, the only thing I want for my birthday is for you to get the vaccination. And that was the moment you decided to change and go and get it for him. And I just thought, what a touching story, because I really feel like when your kids say something to you, that's like a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I did the same with my mom. I was like, Mom, I want you to get this because I love you, and I feel like it would be very hard for me down the road to see you in the hospital and be like, I should have said more. So as a son, I think that was an amazing thing you did for your son.
And you a son, so it's something about the boys. Had that girl asked me, I would probably roll my eyes. But with your son, that was my firstborn son too, the original stretch mark king. When he
original stretch mark king for the win.
That is awesome.
When he asked, and originally, I'm from the South, so
we don't
play that talking back to mama.
No.
And so when he was like, Mom, I want you to get the vaccine, I was like, boy, get out of my face. This is not a democracy. This is a dictatorship. I was not initially moved by, him coming to me. But then he came back with his facts and his figures, and he had really studied because he's 15. And then he said the one thing that really touched me was, what's going to happen to me and my 3 special needs siblings if you die? And then he said, like, if Dad gets a new wife, and I was like, wait a minute, what? If Dad gets a new wife, right here, baby.
Right here.
Come on, put it right here. Give me all 3 of them at one time. Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. Just put them all 3, and Dad don't get no new wife. He give me. He said, all this
Dad want a new wife, I'll change my look up, okay? Now, I'm the only wife Dad gets.
I'm going to be haunting him.
I put on a wig.
I will put a wig on. Thank you.
I was hesitant, guys, because I've been discriminated against in healthcare. And, I almost died giving birth, just like Serena Williams, and nobody cared. Nobody listened to me while I was laying in a hospital bed telling them something was wrong after the birth of my second child. And, there were other incidents where I went to the emergency room and my white blood cell count was low. And I asked the doctor in the emergency room, why is my white blood cell count low? He told me, go home and Google it. And I was like,
wow.
Oh my God,
yeah.
They would never treat me like this if I wasn't a Black woman. And so when the healthcare community, after generations of disparities came to the Black church and the Black community centers and, the Black neighborhoods and said, you got to come and get this vaccine. We care. We want you to stay alive.
We didn't trust
I was
it.
like, well, what?
Yeah.
Where were you when I almost died? Where were you when Susan Moore died and was on YouTube begging for help? Where were you when they were operating on Black women without anesthesia? It's been a while for you to care now. Miss me on all that.
For sure.
I didn't trust it. And, and so I just had to do it afraid. And I had to do it afraid for my children, and for my community. I just had to step out on faith.
Well, the lack of Black maternal health and, Black women being believed within the medical industry is a completely different episode. Which
girl, okay,
you gotta wait till after I have my coffee before we have that conversation. However, you have some books that you sent to us, and thank you so much for these. Cameron Goes to School. We did. Daniel Finds His Voice. These are based on your babies, right? Your children?
Those are based on my babies.
Yes.
When my children went to their school library looking for books about little Black kids with autism, they couldn't find any.
Yeah.
And instead of huffing and puffing and cussing, I said, well, I'll just write the books myself.
I know that's right.
So Holly Robinson Pete is a mentor. She had a book about her son, RJ, who has autism. So I wrote one about my daughter, Cameron Goes to School. It's about her journey heading off to kindergarten as a little girl who's nonverbal. And then Daniel Finds His Voice. Okay, so y'all know about Daniel,
I'm
right?
Vanna Blacking for you. I'm doing Vanna Black.
Daniel was 4.5 years old and had not said a word, not one single word. I mean, this boy broke his arm and couldn't tell us. He fractured his foot and couldn't tell us. I mean, nothing. He could not speak. And so Lil Nas X's Old Town Road was hot that summer, right? It was like the summer of 2019, and everybody was singing it. And so he came walking up to me when the house was quiet, which is rare, and he starts humming Old Town Road. And then he
Whoa.
starts singing it. And so his first words were like, go ride till I can't no more. And I was crying and the tears were meeting in his hair and he was wet and snot was running out my nose. And so I took a clip of it so I could send it to my mom. And I put it up on Twitter and Facebook. And I went to sleep. And when I woke up, he was viral. Lil Nas X was trying to find us. He's like now like godfather to the kids. He checks on Daniel all the time. So I wrote that book to teach parents that sometimes it may not be therapy or special education or the flashcards or the hula hoop. It might be music. Music is what mattered to him. And so that book is all about him finding his voice.
I got some major chills going.
All right, Sheletta. All right, honey. I had to shake it off, honey.
Where can people purchase these books? Because they're going to want them.
They're at Amazon, and actually Daniel's book is a bestseller. We just had to re-up because he sold out. He sold out in like 5 days. We had to go and order more books. So it's just been a blessing how people have taken to our kids' stories and, you know, how they relate to them and how they want to help us to spread autism awareness across the country. And so they're both on Amazon. You can go pick them up and share them with your family. And you don't have to have a special needs child to share those books. Those books are for everybody because not only do they empower kids who have autism, but they educate kids who don't. And I was like, everybody's writing books about autism for grown-ups. Nobody's educating the kids about autism. So like my daughter went to school and she wasn't getting invited to like the birthday parties or anything. And I talked to one of the moms and she said, well, it's because your daughter is very standoffish and she isn't talking to the other girls. I'm like, she can't talk. She got autism. And I was like, oh my God, I got to educate these kids. And once her peer group got educated, let me make you chill again. Let me make you chill again. Once my daughter's peer group got educated, I'm going to tell you all in 2 years, she has tested off the spectrum. This little girl was nonverbal at 5 years old. She's 8 years old now. She gets no special services. She's not in special education. She no longer needs speech or behavior therapy. She is in a normal, developing 3rd grade classroom, either at grade level or above in all of her subjects.
She did it. I got him. I got him again. I got him again.
I'm just sitting here like,
take it in.
Bask in it.
I love it.
Yes,
I love this positivity that you're shining all over us. I want to know, you know, this is one thing that we ask a lot of our guests, but what podcasts do you listen to? Because you have just this light around you. So what entertains you when you listen to podcasts?
Oh my God, I like to be educated. You know, you only know what you know and you don't know what you don't know. And so She Podcasts Live with Jess and Jessica. She is one of just like a goddess in the podcasting community. You all know Jess. She podcasts live every week. She and LC do shows and you know, they're fun, but they're also educational for podcasters. It's kind of like a podcaster's podcast. And they offer helpful hints. They always have great guests. You know, when I started doing podcasting, I knew that I wanted to do it, but I had no idea how. And so just listening to her shows week by week, She Podcasts Live, pretty much helped me understand the structure of podcasting, what would work, what was successful. Listening to her guests and how she interviewed people, you know, just kind of made the difference for me and helped me structure my entire, you know, company. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything you want to do, somebody else has already done it. And so you just go and look and see how they did it. And then you just, you know, replicate and put your own little sauce on it. Put your little,
put your little pot sauce
put your
on
little
it.
pot sauce on it.
Put your little
I
pot
just
sauce
got
on
that.
it. I'm gonna need some money for that. That was my idea. I'm gonna need a little circle. I'm gonna need a little circle behind that.
Get your coins, get your check.
Sheletta, thank you so much. You know, it has been such a joy to interview with you today. And you guys, you heard it first. You can get Daniel Finds His Voice and Cameron Goes to School on Amazon.com. And you can check out all 8 of the podcast that Sheletta has under the Sheletta what is
Sheletta
it?
Sheletta Makes Me
Sheletta
Laugh.
Makes Me Laugh.
I ought to be able to get an 8 in here. Hold on. I was trying to find something that's 8. That's not going.
Oh, don't ask me, because my math is trash, honey. My math is pure trash. Thank you so much for taking the time out to interview with us today. It's been nothing short of a joy, I'm telling you. Joy, pure joy.
It has been such a pleasure. Thank you. You know, podcasting is new and different, and to have a show like this to spotcast podcasters in the work that we are doing, it just means so much to our community. So thank you all, the folks in front of and behind the scenes who are making this happen. You know, from the podcasting community and family, we really appreciate
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. You want to take us out, Dee?
Sheletta's podcast, we're going to throw her podcast up on podsauce.com. We've got all the links directly to her one of her 8 shows, any of them. We will put them all up there. And stick around. We got more coming up on Podsauce.